Wildflowers growing free and homes to save the bees. That's what it means to really dream. I have a dream, oh, I have a dream. Red, white, and blue, fly free, fly free. I believe, oh, I believe. Will you dream with me?
Good morning, everyone out there. Hope you had a great Christmas, a blessed Christmas. This is Changing Times. This is week number 90, Don. I looked it up, and we are at number 90. So extremely blessed that we started our show on human trafficking, our show number 1. And now here we are, 89 shows after that show, and we're still going strong. We are live at the Axe Media Group headquarters in Springfield, Missouri. And I'm Lynn Morris.
And I'm Don Blackard.
Yes, you are. And I tell you what, this show is going to be, if you tuned in a year ago, you're going to kind of see a little bit of a repeat, because what we want to do for all of the new listeners, the viewers that are watching all over the country and around the world, is we want to kind of do a as quick as we can review of all 52 shows. We're not going to hit all 52 because it's just impossible. You got 45-minute show, and we're not going to be able to do it. But we're going to try to hit the highlights because our show, Don, is about social issues, right?
Yep.
Social issues, social causes, and we try to have real discussions about these issues, and then we try to find positive solutions. You know, we always tell people that if you want negativity, watch TV, read the newspaper, listen to the radio, and most likely you'll hear negative. On this show, we're going to take up some difficult situations. We're going to take up difficult issues, very important issues, but we're going to try to always come up with a positive solution. Or otherwise, you're not probably going to see us doing this show. And I think there is through God that we can find positive solutions. And I really believe that we need to work together. This country and this world needs more kindness and cooperation and work together than what we're doing. But we're going to go ahead and do that. And we're going to kind of go ahead and, I know one thing. If you hear something or you think of something, Don reminded me before the show started, this is important. My email, get pencil and paper. You may want to write some of these things down. But my email address is lynnmorris2012@gmail.com. We would love for you all to send us an email of what you would like to see and hear in 23. Okay? We can pick people. And we can pick great people. I mean, because our show is all based around great guests. Isn't that right? We have we call them the difference makers. And what do you call them?
That they're being the change.
Yeah. And so honestly, these 2 empty seats that you see here always have guests in them. And they are some of the best people around the area. And so if you've got an idea of something you want us to research and do a program on, then send me an email, lynnmorris2012@gmail.com. Okay? Very good. So we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to kind of name off some shows, and then we're just going to have you kind of discuss. We'll discuss back and forth, and we're just going to keep going.
Sounds great.
Okay, so this will be kind of fun, and I think it's going to be educational too. So the very first show I want to talk about, we're going to go backwards, and it was our Christmas show, and I missed it because I was doing something with the veterans that day, and actually the state of Missouri, the cemetery that I'm on the board. Missouri Cemetery at Lake Springfield won national recognition for an excellence in operations grounds. We've never won it before. It's extremely hard to win, and it's just kudos to the staff and everyone out there at the Missouri Veterans Cemetery. It's a beautiful, beautiful place, and so I was there with the governor and federal officials and everybody that day. So that was kind of cool. But let's go Christmas show. You had Louis Michael, our good friend, as a guest.
Well, one thing I love about this show, Lynn, is you and I are both connectors. We love to connect people. And we know when we meet somebody, if they need to meet somebody else, and it just kind of sparks right away. And so for you and me both, we really wanted Louis Michael to meet Faith and Adam.
That's
so
right.
Adam at Faith. So that was a great connection. And when we were playing that Christmas song that Louis hadn't heard, which was, we had a little technical difficulties in that show. We were kind of jamming out with our headphones on for 3 minutes, but the audience couldn't hear the song. But for me sitting here, I saw Louis's wheels turning in his head when he heard this song. And he's like, that could be so commercialized.
Yeah.
And so I think we're going to have a good connection there for Adam and Faith to maybe sell some songs.
Right.
And the fact that they've written 300 songs in their 20s, they just have this unbelievable talent. And I think one day, Lynn, we're going to look back and we're going to be like, I can't believe we've had Adam at Faith on the show so many times when they're really big named singer-songwriters.
Well, and I understand Faith was sick.
Yes.
That day,
so many people are sick. So
right. Yeah, you work in a hospital, so you know how many people are sick every day. You said in the pediatrics, a lot of the young children are having to go.
Yeah. We're just getting, it's a lot of sick people. But we told Faith we understood, but she's just a class act, and she called that morning, and we told her we'll have her back on again.
Yeah, well, very good. We'll do that, and so that was a great show, and then we actually. I'm going to see my notes here. So the next show that we had was John Whittaker. He was one of our sponsors.
Yes. Yep. And that was a great show. I got to listen in, and we couldn't do what we do, Lynn, without our sponsors. And Youngblood is such a big contributor to the area and to what we do here on getting all kinds of messages out. We really like to focus on, helping people with addiction, with their faith, with autism, all the big conversations that we've had are made possible by these sponsors.
Yeah. John Whittaker, over 43 years, Youngblood Motor Group in Southwest Missouri. And then we had our good friend Sonova Cantrell. She was on. And, she kind of surprised us because I didn't really even know this, but she is a tremendous crime story writer, author of crime stories, real crimes, real murder mysteries and things like that. She's helped solve 6 unsolvable cases that she helped solve. But she's kind of retired from that. That's a pretty dangerous business, working with crime elements and things like that. And so now she's switched gears and trying to help people to really understand their value of their life and bring some happiness and joy. And so she did a show on finding gratitude at Christmas time. So that was a good show, wasn't it?
Absolutely. Yep. And we're looking forward to having her on in 23.
Oh, yeah. We're going to get her back on. I need to listen to some of the things. She can give everyone advice for how to make 23 a better year, And I thought that was interesting that she talked about good memories, bad memories, and how you're not necessarily going to forget the bad memories. So say like a family's member's death or something like that, you're going to remember it. You're always going to remember it. But then you need to, every time you think of that, then you need to bounce back to a positive memory of maybe something that you did that was fun with that person. And so she has some really good advice.
It's all about mindset. And she was really talking about having your mind right, because it's so easy to be negative or live in the past or whatever, but it's not going to get you anywhere. No.
And then Louis Michael was on after that. He was on, and of course we've just said he's our co-sponsor. He's a sponsor. He's a co-host, and he's an Elvis singer. I mean, he sells real estate for the firm, and every time he makes a sale, he contributes part of that to his nonprofit, Choosing to Live. And, we've helped him with that, and he firmly believes in that, and goes around and spends a lot of time talking to schools and individuals and answering the phone, talking about why you want to choose to live.
His show was very impactful for me, and talking to Donna Presley while she was in Sweden was really cool, but I could feel the presence of the Holy Spirit whenever Louis was talking. And, God has been in his life and what he's done for his nonprofit, Choosing to Live, neversuicide.org, is very needed message that we just constantly keep trying to get out there, because people need to choose to live.
Right. Well, and Louis Michael, he is the real deal. Another show that we had in November, around Thanksgiving, our Thanksgiving show, was Dr. Mary Burns. She's been on our show several times since the beginning. She is has a PhD in education. She is just
She's a warrior.
She's extremely smart, hard worker, just
big advocate.
Advocates, goes up to Jefferson City, goes to the DC and advocates for, I believe, the right things. And but she's extremely smart. She was talking that day about the significance of the Mayflower contract and compact. I mean, and it was just really interesting how she integrated that information, which some of that I didn't know, back into the Pilgrims and Thanksgiving, the origination of Thanksgiving. So I thought I always love to have her, and we'll have her on again too, because she's likes to talk about what we need to do to change and improve education. And that's extremely important in our country. Is we have really got some failing grades, test scores right now because of the 2-year COVID, a lot of kids not in school and stuff like that. We got to figure out a way to bring these test scores back up and educate our kids properly to be the leaders in our next generation. So this is extremely important. So we'll have her back on. Then we had some good friends that Doug Twigger and Susan Harrelson and from Ozark, Missouri, and they were talking about the Christian County 100 Club. If there's people listening today in your town and you might want to do this, you can send me an email and we'll hook you up with either Doug or Susan, because what they do is they raise money. And their members will give $100, at least $100 to belong to this club. And they take all this money and collect it. And then if they have a fallen police officer, deputy, first responder, something like that, all those people that go out and take care of emergencies, if they die in the line of duty, then they'll have this lump sum money that they can give to the family. And we didn't understand. Doug is an insurance agent. He's had his own agency for quite some time. And these life insurance policies take months to pay out. Well, the family needs money every day, every week, every month after their biggest financial supporter dies in the line of duty. So we've got to help those people. So you might want to do something like that. Form your own 100 Club. They have them all over the country. And so that's a great thing too. Then we had, for Veterans Day, you remember Dr. Scott McGill and Alec Wade?
Oh, that was a great show.
Yeah, you being a veteran, I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of Alec Wade. Alec was in the Army, and then he went into the FBI, retired FBI agent. Very interesting man. The FBI wasn't like it is today when he was serving. And then sitting next to me was Dr. Scott McGill. And he became after he joined and served in the Marines, then he became a obstetrician. Yeah. And delivered thousands and thousands of babies and stuff like that. And he actually practiced medicine while he was in the Marines. So that was a great show. Then we had Curtis Trent, Senator Curtis Trent now, because he's elected as senator. He was state rep at that time. And so a good friend of ours, Curtis Trent, is going back to Jefferson City here in January to serve his first year as state senator. And then we had Dr. Mary Byrne back on because we were talking about very important amendments. We had several amendments that was confusing to people in Missouri, and that was in the November election. So we had that meeting. So a little bit of politics. We don't do a lot of politics, Don, but
educational. We needed to educate everybody. I think they called it ballot candy, and I really like that he said that. They make it look really good, sound really good, but if you get into the details, it's not really what it is.
Yeah, that's right. And so one of the things in Missouri, we're talking about Missouri because Don and I live in Missouri. Our Constitution is a little bit, it's a great Constitution, but it's a little bit diluted because we have over time allowed things to be put in there that really don't belong there, like bingo. We have bingo, and why the Constitution is a little bit more important than just having a topic like bingo. And so we'll not go any further on that. But I just think that's it. And then Jim Whining, I want to take the time. You and I just love Jim Whining and Pam and Paul Collins, Dr. Paul Collins, and Nancy, his wife, because they're the founders. They're the founders of Acts Ministry. And we had Jim Whining on and talk about autism in the last 2 years. We also had Rivendell on and talk about autism and things like that.
And Ark of the Ozarks.
Ark of the Ozarks. And Karen Burnell Ruff was one of the ones.
We've had Development Center of the Ozarks.
Development Center of the Ozarks. Autism is one of the areas that Acts Ministry really concentrates on. It's one of the things that we want to spend our resources and our time and energies to improve the lives of families and the children that have autism. It's the whole thing. You got to protect the family and take care of the family. And so we'll continue to have shows on autism. I think that's going to be really, really good. Then we had, I know one of the shows that I liked. I'm not sure if you were Valerie Coleman, Lake of the Ozarks, College of the Ozarks.
Okay, yeah, no, I was not here, but we were excited about that show.
Yeah, what a delightful lady. Very, very smart, nice lady that is the director of public relations. When she was sitting right there next to your chair, I was just thinking how always smiling, very kind, very communicative. She could really express exactly what you need to know about College of the Ozarks and the students. And I'm thinking they are one of 13 universities in the United States that offers 4 years of free tuition. Can you imagine today how much money it costs to graduate from a 4-year college? I mean, that's why we have all this debt, these students' debt, and they're just not borrowing just for tuition and books and things like that. They're having to borrow for their room, their apartment room, their food. They're borrowing money for everything, and then they're owing a lot of money when they get out. College of the Ozarks is called Hard Work U. Every student can work and required to work to help pay for their education. Then they have other donors that contribute the rest of it. And so they can graduate with all kinds of different degrees and owe nothing. Wouldn't that be a blessing?
Yep. And it's awesome that for 2 years I helped do brief, not full echoes, but just sneak peeks on making sure all the athletes were ready to go.
Right. So I'm telling you what, it's just amazing. Another show that we had was, and we just talked about that before the show started, Shannon Russell. I believe you and Louie was there that day because Louie had invited Shannon, which was a friend of his, good friend of his, that was a recovering addict and alcoholic. He was combination drugs and alcohol. And he told some great, as I remember listening to the show after the fact, some great stories about how he's helping other people, not just in this country, but around the world. Yes. He's going around and helping people not be like he used to be.
Well, that show was very impactful for me because I got phone calls from people that were listening that said, now that was a good show.
Yeah.
That was a really good show. And I'm friends with Shannon Russell on Facebook. And I'm sure if you wanted to be friends with him too, he would accept your friendship. But right now he's over going through all the places. He's been in Jerusalem. He's, currently just exploring and showing what his best life looks like, post addiction.
Right.
And, we've also had Danielle from our Renewed Treasures on that she's came on and told her story of addiction to success. And we can't be quiet over here about addiction because it hits everybody. It hits the good families. It hits the rich families. Nobody is, unscathed from what addiction is doing in our city, in our nation, in our world. And we just have to keep pushing that message that there's hope after addiction.
Right. And hope is what the key word. Don, one of the things that you and I have done, I think successfully, is that we have provided some joy and some hope in everyone's life because without hope and joy, And if you don't have Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior, I really don't know. I think your life is going to be pretty bumpy, because as Christians, our life's pretty bumpy too sometimes, isn't it? I mean, that's just the way it is. But I'd rather have Jesus by my side when those times are bumpy as not. So hopefully our show is getting across the joy and hope that everyone can have. Without it, I feel sorry for those people. So we'll continue to do that. We'll continue to try to do that. No, we also had let's see, oh, I know, it's your friends, Michael Bauer, the doctor, Freedom Health Systems.
Our rock star in town. Yeah. What they're doing is just exploding and expanding. And so many of my family members, Lynn, now go to them for the membership, and they are loving it. Just having constant access to a doctor when you need it. And when you have a bunch of little kids, you don't want to go wait in an urgent care or necessarily the ER all the time. It's nice to have that family doctor feel that you can call up and say, we need a stitch, we need antibiotics, whatever it is. And I can't say enough good things about Freedom Health Systems.
Now, his wife's named Kobe.
I believe it's Kelby.
Kelby. I just couldn't say Kelby. Okay.
You put me on the spot, but I hope that's right. Yeah. She's amazing.
Okay, Kelby. Yeah, just a tremendous. She's a nurse practitioner.
Yes.
And a very important role in Freedom Health Systems. Now they opened up their first office, I believe, in Ozark, and then they have one in Battlefield, Missouri, and maybe someplace else. I'm not sure. But Freedom Health Systems, you can look them up. We're ready to, well, you know what, boy, this time has gone by fast, but we're going to go ahead and talk about our sponsors, because without our sponsors, we wouldn't have a show. And we're still trying to raise money to have a telephone system to where you all, the people that's watching this show today, could call in live and you could ask us a question or make a comment. And our goal will be to try to get that done in 23. And we'll keep working until we get it done. But our first sponsor, Brad Pistow. Now, we were going to have Brad on today, but still extremely busy right now. Everybody just has less than a week to try to get all their financial things in order. A lot of these investments, you have to have everything in before the end of this year, or it's too late. A lot of the things you can't make changes in your investment plans. And then he'll be busy right after the first of the year. He promised me when Jan and I were in the office the other day that he'll be here in February. He and Hunter will be here in February. By that time, we will have started a new year, and he's going to be calmed down a little bit. He's so busy right now, but he's busy because he's so good. He is a certified fiduciary financial planner located right in Ozark, Missouri. He was our first sponsor, and he's very generous. Don and I have seen him several times step up and help us when we have a cause. Mm-hmm. And so I really, really appreciate him. But he has a book called Safe Money Matters. He also has a book called Bulletproof. They're both best-selling Amazon financial retirement books. And you can get those free. All you got to do is call 417-581-9222, 417-581-9222. And either Lisa or Hunter will answer the phone, and they're going to get you set up with information and these books and things like that. And I know that we've got people in all 50 states watching, but he helps people in other states. He's licensed in more than Missouri, but he also has friends in all 50 states because he travels around the country making appearances and speaking and things like that. And so he can still set you up, and he has plans where you will not lose a dollar during the downturn in the stock markets. I can truthfully say I've been using them now for 4 years, and I've never lost a dollar, and I've made dollars, and I'll never run out of my retirement money. I'm going to find death before I run out of money, and so that's a good thing. You don't have to worry about it. The plans that he sets up. The second sponsor is one we just talked about a while ago, and that's Youngblood Motor Group. That's John Youngblood and John Whittaker. John Whittaker, the working partner in that group, was on our show. He's always so interesting talking about the automobile industry, because that's your second biggest investment. You buy your home, that's your biggest investment, and then a car. is now costing what a home used to cost. And so it's extremely expensive. And you got to know the right things to do. Do you rent or lease? Do you buy? Do you buy used? What do you do? And he had some interesting concepts about electric cars, hybrid cars, things like that. And they're located on South Campbell in Springfield, Missouri. And they sell Nissans and Kias. But they also have a great, usually 125, 150 used cars. Almost all of those cars are certified cars. So you can drive them down the highway and know they've been certified and checked, over 100 types of inspections and things like that. And they're not going to tear up, okay? They're going to last you. And that's why you want to buy a used car for a dealer like that. Youngblood Motor will fit that bill. Their phone number is 882-3838, 417 882-3838. John Youngblood, they've been in business 43 plus years. That's one of the oldest family-owned car dealerships in Southwest Missouri. Then our third sponsor, we just talked about Louis Michael some, but he is a realtor for the firm. He's the CEO of Choosing to Live. Part of the money he makes every time he sells a house or farmland or something like that, he donates back to Choosing to Live. Just a tremendous guy. And we came up on our show. Louis was sitting one day just exactly where Don was. And I said, when you sell these homes and you got a new buyer and they don't know anybody up and down the street, why don't you have an Elvis party in the backyard and they can provide the food and you provide the music and you'll get to know all your neighbors. He thought that was a great idea. So I'm telling you, put him to the test. Buy a home from him in 23 and he'll do an Elvis party in your backyard. You'll never forget it. You'll never regret it. You're going to make so many new friends. Everyone's going to think you are really cool and you're the best. And
they won't regret moving to Christian County.
No,
we really live in the best county.
Yeah, Christian County is a great place. So anyway, those are our three sponsors. I am actually working on 2 more sponsors. We need to have 5 at least. But call me. Call me or email me. Again, my email, lynnmorris2012@gmail.com. So that's our sponsors, and they are extremely important. And we'll get our third sponsor back on in February. We try to get them on twice a year to give them some time, and that's another perk of being a sponsor and stuff like that. So that's what we do. Well, let's kind of head on back. Is there anything in 22 that you did a show that comes to mind? And then otherwise, I'm going to start naming some more shows again.
Well, I really liked having Northside Assembly, since that's my grandpa, dad, and soon to be brother's church. What they're doing over there is just really amazing to see God moving. There was a guy that I went to high school with. He was the toughest guy of our whole high school. Everyone knew that you didn't mess with him. And very recently, my brother reconnected with him, and he was not in a good place. And within a span of about 30 days, I saw what ministry can do, lighting a fire of Jesus in somebody and completely shape and transform and shift their life around. So on a people level, they're just doing a lot over there. And then my dad had the idea that maybe we should start a daycare. And I really like the saying, God's will, God's bill. And $37,000 showed up within a very short window afterwards, launched the daycare. About another $100,000 came in right following that. Now we are fully launched with 22 kids that need the love of Jesus, that are being held and, just poured into by people that love Jesus that are working there. And so it's just been a neat transition to see ministry in action.
Wow. I tell you what, I am very proud of Northside Assembly and your family, such an integral part of Northside Assembly. I've gone over there. You've invited me, and I've been to events and things like that. I love your family. I love the people there, and I just love the spirit of what you are doing with all the people that go to that church. And I'll just say right now that I've said this before, but I've never found an ice cream flavor that I don't like, and even though I'm diabetic. And it's kind of ways churches are. There's a lot of different flavors of churches out there, but honestly, they're all good. They're all good. And so just pick a church, find a church, and attend that church, and hopefully you'll find Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior.
And then on that note, let's talk about Light the Way, because they're the church outside the walls. And so we are actually being called to be the church. I mean, you're the church in the workplace. You're the church in the courthouse. You're you are that light. Some people will never walk into a church, and you have to show them that God lives in you and shine your light. So Light the Way.
Yeah.
They've got good things going, and their concerts are just phenomenal, but they're reaching people.
Right. And I'll tell you, so John and Beth Wilson have been on John Wilson has been on our show several times in the last 2 years, and he'll be on again at least once, because we have a concert. He has a concert coming up in July in Christian County in Ozark, Missouri, down by Finley River, one of the most beautiful places around. And there'll be outdoors. It's outdoors. There'll be outdoor baptisms. There'll be a great big gigantic bandstand, and it's just one of the neatest things. So you're going to have outdoor concerts. You're going to have all these Christian bands, and John will come on and tell us who those people are, because these are people that are top bands and individual performers in Christian music all over the country, and so they're going to be coming. And I'm expecting, I'll tell you, I think we'll have over 15,000 both nights. So we'll probably have 30,000 plus people. What a neat deal to sit in lawn chairs and just listen to all that beautiful music, and then messages and things like that go on. Is just an awesome day.
And we kept saying that John needed to connect with Sarah Foreheads. And even though they knew each other, next thing you know, she's opening up and now she's on their board. So
right.
It's a great thing to connect and to keep doing what the Lord's called us all to do.
Yeah. There's we're kind of like matchmakers, because
we're a little bit,
because I tell you what, I went to a big fundraiser when John Wilson announced the event coming in Ozark, and Mark and Amy Acker, who have the property in Ozark, had signed a contract with John Wilson to have this concert and things like that. And Jan and I went to this large, very nice dinner fundraiser, and it was just really awesome just to see how well. I was going to say, so Sarah was the MC. I didn't know she was going to be there. And so there you go. You helped make that contact, and now he's got Sarah on the board, and Sarah's going to be one of the spokespersons that will go out and do those talks for John.
He could not have picked a better person.
No. And by the way, Sarah, we had her on year before on Convoy of Hope, when she worked for Convoy of Hope. And now anyone out there in Southwest Missouri, if maybe even Arkansas or some other state, she is a master's program speaker. And so if you're needing an MC, or you're needing someone to speak to your group, Sarah Foreheads is the person to call out.
Yeah, and she preaches the fire of the Lord. She came and preached at Northside, and it was phenomenal. And now you can see her and Ethan every morning with her Around the Ozarks in 5. Yeah. They're doing a great little news podcast, so you can tune into them.
Yeah, and another show that we had this year was, we did have Jim Whining. It's hard to get Jim Whining because they don't live. He and Pam don't live in Springfield, Missouri. They actually live further away in Missouri. But he and Paul Collins, our founder of Acts Ministry, we talked about the Acts Fest that was going on. And it was interesting listening to him talk about the history and why we do Acts Fest and things like that. That was a great show.
I thought it was really neat when we had Jill Reynolds on, because that was one of our most watched shows, because she was announcing that the Freedom Tour was coming to Branson. I don't think anybody knew. I think they sold out tickets almost in like the next 48 hours after our show announced it, and nobody had any clue that Donald Trump Jr. was coming to Branson. And so
Right.
that was announced on Changing Times, and that was fun.
Right. It was so sold out that they had to change it from the first venue to a second larger, because I think the first one held maybe 2,200 people or something like that.
Yeah, and let's talk about that. That first theater that came around when we had on the individuals for the Freedom Mansion. So their Freedom Show. They have a show that's teaching people about faith, tyranny, and keeping, the heritage of how we have our freedoms here today.
Well, that's Darren Myers.
Yes.
That's Darren Myers and his wife. And they, like a lot of people in this country, they've gone out on a limb, bought the building, started this business up. There's lots of shows down there in Branson to see, lots of choices. But this is unique because it's not a music show. Like Branson started out having all these different music shows. They're all good, but his show is something that every parent and grandparent should take their kids to. This
Absolutely.
is a show that's going to understand, you're going to understand the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, the preamble, everything that has made our country what it is today. And sometimes, unfortunately, I don't think some of the kids are learning that in public schools. And so therefore, it's your responsibility to teach. And I know the homeschoolers learn it, and a lot of their parents have gone down there, and grandparents have taken their kids and grandkids down there, but they'll be reopened in the spring.
A couple of quick shows. We had Jose Dominguez on, a surgeon from Cox, talking about getting called to Haiti, where he got to do general surgery after an earthquake. It is just invigorating to see that surgeons will step up. They have no time. They're very, very busy, and that they would give to such a cause is just, very, very heartwarming. We had Gospel for the Nations on.
Yeah.
I really like how they fundraise by taking old cars that are broke down and they fix them up and sell them to help fund Gospel for the Nations. And I'm following them on Facebook, and they're literally all over right now spreading the gospel.
Well, that's Daryl Tonsing.
Yes.
And he's absolutely just a great man of God. And he had a friend there that day, and I checked with Daryl, and that friend, I can't think of his name, but he has gone on more than one mission. And so I think he's buying into it, and just absolutely, I know Daryl, his sons, two sons, I just saw the two sons at James River. One is now like 6'3" or 4". These kids are growing up, and one goes to Liberty University. One of the best universities in the United States is Liberty University, a great Christian school. And then also the younger one is going to the University of Arkansas to be an engineer. So two great young boys raised by Daryl and his wife. Another show that we had that was a doctor was Dr. Charlin. Dr. Charlin, he's a neurologist in Ozark, Missouri. Interesting thing is he's not attached to Cox or to Mercy. He the two main hospitals in Springfield, Missouri. He's an independent doctor. That's kind of a hard road, but he's very, very good. And he does a lot of different things. And so neurologists, a lot of times when you need to see a neurologist, you have to wait 6 months or more. You won't have to wait 6 months to see Dr. Charlin, and Dr. Charlin is extremely good. He's written books too. And then we had Dr. Roy Holan on. Dr. Roy Holan was, we were talking about kind of the healthcare system in this country. A lot of people believe it. I've been in healthcare, and you're in healthcare. A lot of us do believe the healthcare system is broken, and it needs to be fixed. It needs to be better. Certainly the VA system needs to be fixed and better. And so Dr. Holan had some great perspectives, because he started out as a family practice physician, which is very important. But then for some reason, he decided to go back to medical school and become an orthopedic surgeon. So he actually retired as an orthopedic surgeon, and which is very important too. And especially like right now, people falling in the snow and ice and breaking bones. And then he became a state representative. If that wasn't enough, he served 8 years in the state house like I did. And so those are really good kind of medical people that had a lot of great things going on. And
we quickly learned, Lynn, that if we say something that the police of the social media sites don't like, then we hear about it really quickly. And so that's when we're doing our job.
Right.
Because we're supposed to be talking about things that maybe people don't want to hear about. And that's, kind of why we started changing times to bring the light to controversial subjects.
Yeah, and we don't want to deceive anyone or mislead anyone. That's not our goal. Our goal is to tell the truth and get people to think and work together out there. And I want to kind of say something right now. Jim Whining had sent me an email before Christmas, and I actually spoke at the Swim Church down at Walnut Shade. Just a great church. Pastor Larry had invited me to speak. Dr. Paul Collins was there. There was a lot of pastors there. I love that church because there's all kinds of different denominations. There's Catholic, and there's Jewish, and there's Methodist, and there's Presbyterians, and Assembly of God. There's Baptists. There's all these different people serving one God and have great lunches, and then we all get up and speak and things like that. But Ellen DeGeneres was sent an email to Jim, I think about a year ago,
about the hybrid cars.
Yeah, hybrid cars. She liked that article, that show about the hybrid cars that Paul or John Whittaker was talking about, and so she opened up the actually the windows where more people saw our show because she was sharing that. But then what I was sharing the other day at Swim Church down at Walnut Shade was the fact that Jim had got another email from Elon Musk. And when Elon Musk bought Twitter, he found out a lot of things was going on inside that big, large corporation. And so changing times, even though we've been on Twitter, we had kind of like our window shades closed. And so a lot of people weren't getting to watch our show on that platform. He's opened it up wide. He's seen our show. Elon Musk has seen our show. He sent an email to Jim, our CEO, and told him, we're going to open it up to millions of more people that can watch our show. And I'm thinking, what a blessing. And these are just, so today there may be somebody famous or not famous that's watching our show. Isn't that interesting that we don't know who's watching our show?
Well, it's absolutely crazy that we're on show number 90, Lynn. Yeah, that just blows my mind. I want to say thank you to all the volunteers.
Yeah.
We could not do this show without you guys.
Yeah, we got Mark. He's here today. Matt's here today. Both of those guys are tremendous producers. And then Jody, Mark's wife, is there to always help people. And when they come into the building, and we're all volunteers, and no, everybody's just working for the Lord, and I think that's the best.
And we're always open to that ministry money, that Jesus Mail, 4166 West Kearney Street, Springfield, Missouri. Acts Media Group. We're a nonprofit, and so we're always looking for partners to partner up with us. And lastly, Lynn, the song, That's What It Means to Really Dream, that opens and closes this. It really touches my heart that John Miner may be in glory today, but he's with us every single time we play that. And just his spirit about him is patriotism, faith, family. And I just really like that we honor him and honor our nation and our God by how we open and close each episode.
Well, I tell you what, I'm extremely proud of that. I think the opening music and video that we do and the closing is just tremendous. And you created that. And I want to say thank you. A great job, because I thought that was worthy to always do that every time. And when I had my radio show, I had a tremendous opening and closing, and we never changed it. And so I don't plan on changing this because it's so worthy of people being able to see and hear that. So thank you very much. Have we run out of time, producer? Everyone, we'll be back next week, and we appreciate you watching today. And we're going to be talking about predictions of 23, and we're going to compare what we thought in 21 to 22. You're going to find out we were right on most of them, and talk about major events in 22 next week. We'll see you, and have a great day.
And a Happy New Year.
And a Happy New Year.
Miss the values, the old-time family. They dream this land stays free under God, not tyranny. That's what it means to really dream. 1, 2, 3. Can I get a hoorah from a patriot like me? Can I get an amen? Do I hear a hallelujah? Can I get a hoorah from a patriot like me?